It's Monday, Anthony, but it feels like a Thursday to me.
Okay.
That was, wow. The energy this week is hot.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Anthony Melchiori, so great to see you. Look at you on the go.
So what happened was I got caught between two thoughts when you opened the show. One, I was like, oh, I got to see something witty and fun. And the second was I'm working with Cintas on the Shine Awards that we've been promoting here on the show. And we came down to a top 10. And I was really excited about our meeting that we just had right before this call. I just had a conference call. And it was, I'd like to see housekeeping getting their just dessert. So it was a nice meeting, and we'll be announcing the winners shortly, I think.
Yes, Colleen, we are live. We are live. I sent you a note this morning. This is our only live show of the week, although I will be doing a Friday night audit show. Anthony, this is fun. In New York, it's nice and fall. Everything's happening out there. Things are feeling, really good, generally speaking. And one of the things that I'm seeing is people keep telling me that there's more and more pent-up demand for a lot of leisure travel going into this fall, which is even more than I think we've been expecting and hearing about ourselves. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I think a lot of people they're not doing their holiday vacations. They're not going to Europe. They're not going, whatever. And I think that's the reason. But I will tell you something. Between the restaurant that now have sidewalk cafes, between all the bike lanes, between everything that's happening in the city, I am happy to report traffic in New York City is the worst I've ever seen.
That's great. Well, that's fantastic. One day maybe I'll take the train back into the city. But good.
Well, I will tell you. Last year when I was in Times Square on a Tuesday morning, at 9:00, and there was nobody in Times Square, and I literally had tears in my eyes. Right. I don't mind sitting in traffic, but it is rough.
You really have to have a Zen approach to it. When it takes me now, I'm, about 50 something miles away from Times Square where I live. It can take up to 3 hours each way at this point for me.
Oh, yeah. I live 23 miles away from Times Square. And it takes me, I can be at the Battery in 24 minutes. Right. Or I can be at the Battery in 2 hours and 24 minutes.
Yes, as long as you have the right Zen attitude about it, it is worth it. But Anthony, we're talking about some people doing well in hospitality. One company we're going to be talking to, they've got properties in Jackson, Wyoming, San Francisco, not so great there, but Greenport out there in the east end of Long Island, and great places such as Hawaii. Let's welcome to the show Kirk Pederson of Sightline Hospitality. Kirk, great to see you.
Hey guys, how are you?
Doing great. So fantastic to see you. So before we were going on air, we were talking about how you started this company in September of 2019. It's the last time we got to chat. So I'm super thrilled to have you on. But the first question I have for you before we get into that is, you've got several properties in Hawaii. Hawaii opening back up. How does that feel for you? What are you thinking about right now?
Listen, well, first of all, your energy is infectious, man. When you get on and talk with you, I feel like I'm going a million miles an hour. This is great. No, Hawaii, the news in Hawaii, the performance in Hawaii has actually been fantastic. We didn't shut down a number of our locations in Hawaii, right, and actually did fairly well throughout the entire pandemic. We got into a lot of the airline, shipping, military, education, a lot of those other sectors, and we performed actually fairly well because a lot of the beachfront resorts did close, right? So all of that business had to find a place to go when we were open and able to take it. But yeah, now, I mean, you walk, it's a little bit of a different crowd because you don't have the Japanese consumer or the Korean consumer. But they'll be back soon enough. But yeah, the market is definitely doing much better.
So where is Hawaii right now? Because last time we spoke to people in Hawaii, they were open, and then I heard they were closing again. So right now, if I want to go to Hawaii, can I go?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so it's wide open.
Pack your bag.
Okay. Do you have a hotel stay for me and a reason for me to go?
Yes. Yeah. Hey, based on our conversation earlier, we always have hotel stays for you.
Okay. Glenn,
Yes.
Glenn, with all the times we've said we're going here, we're going there, can we please get our ass to Hawaii?
Oh my God. Yeah. How about to the Lumeria Maui or the Queen Kapiolani? I don't know, man.
How
You know
about
what? You guys could do a show from the pool deck at Queen K, overlooking the beach and the mountains. It would be perfect.
let's go. Let's do it. Listen, I'll stay in the Volkswagen near the airport. Hawaii is one of my favorite places to go. So I'm in.
That's right. Well, we're not allowed to go unless producer Suzanne is allowed to go. She's telling us backstage. So, all right, we're gonna put together a big party. It'll be like the Brady Bunch. We'll bring everybody out there. But Kirk, you started this company back in 2019. Things were very different in the market then. What was it like starting a company 6 months before having to rethink, reevaluate, and reinvent yourselves?
No, I tell you, we were so excited in I guess that was October, right before Halloween, right in 19 at the lodging conference.
Mm-hmm.
We had momentum. We were excited. The world couldn't be any better, right? Business levels were unbelievable. And then bang, we got hit. We had a number of properties close.
Mm-hmm.
3 properties in New York City go through foreclosures and actually change uses. So it was tough.
Yeah.
But we've managed to scrap and fight and claw our way back out, and we've built the portfolio back up. We're about 25 assets across the country now, and we're really working on some unique projects. People are having fun again. There's a lot to be excited about, guys. There's a lot to be happy about. It's not all doom and gloom.
So let me ask you a question that, as a operator, owning and running a management company, why? It's so hard. It's so hard. Let's just I look at a guy like you that's so positive and looks like he just went golfing this morning and had a mimosa and is going to yoga, and like, I understand what it's like to run 25 properties, be a management company. It's a lot easier. I'd rather be a general manager of 25 properties and travel around the world, around the country, than be a management company for 25 properties. Why? Is there something wrong with you?
I ask myself that a lot. No, Anthony, there's nothing wrong with me. Here's what it is. So I started working in operations, right? I ended up going to work for Morgan Stanley and ran their West Coast, Mesref portfolio. And I got out of operations. I was in asset management and, acquisitions and investments. And, you get back into management again, and it's the people, right? You run into these people. I spent, it was probably 6 hours locked in a room with Todd English and our management team last week, coming up with unique ideas and things that we could do at the English Hotel in Las Vegas to wow people.
Right.
We're talking about songs that we're going to play at 5 o'clock every evening, and individual shakers we're going to give people to bring down to the pool deck to sing together and make cocktails together with a celebrity chef.
That's fun.
That's fun stuff, man.
Hold on. I agree with you, and that is a lot of fun. But being locked in a room with Todd English myself from time to time. Now, be honest with me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Attention span. Is it more than 30 seconds? Less than 30 seconds? Where is it? Because I'll tell you where the attention span. Every time I was in a meeting with him, he would run, make me a pizza, and come back to the table. So what was the attention span when you were Todd English?
So I've heard those stories, and I've heard he's getting better and better and better. But Todd and Glenn are very similar, right? They've got so much energy, right? They're ready to go. I love Todd. We've had
I love Todd too. But like, I've never sat at a table with him ever without his butt getting up every 15 seconds.
Oh no, it might be you, because I sat at a table with him and I did a podcast with him for 45 minutes, and he was laser focused on me. I don't know, man.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's me. Maybe it was about 15 years ago when he was going through some stuff.
I tell you, he's the classic entertainer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He is the guy. You walk into his place, he wants to take care of you so that when 100%. You leave, right? When you leave, you go, man, that was just such a great experience. And Todd was there.
So you're opening up a Todd English hotel?
We are. It's called the English Hotel. It's going to be soft branded with Marriott and the Tribute Collection. It's in the art district of Las Vegas. It's right behind Glen there.
Who's financing the hotel?
It's individually financed. It's an owner developer that out of China who's been in the U.S. for a number of years now, who's developed this really cool quasi modular construction model. And she's an architect by background. Came up with this really cool model. Built this is her first hotel, and brought us in to help her figure out the hotel business. And we went out and got Todd, who had always wanted to start his own hotel brand. So it's the first of hopefully many to come, Anthony.
Hey,
Right.
Glenn,
Yes,
are you thinking what I'm thinking, Glenn?
What, more shows? No.
No, Kirk could have. Kirk doesn't have my cell number apparently, and didn't call me first.
Oh, well, I believe Kirk was saying, but just before you popped on, that every project from here in the future, he needs to talk to you about before making any more decisions. But I will say this. This is the right time, not just necessarily for a Todd English branded hotel, but I also think for the elevation of off-strip food, right? We've talked about it here on the show before. Chefs are now, all the ones particularly who are trained on strip, but they're all eschewing the strip now. And they're thinking of just going to all these other places because it's got a vibrant community of people that want to eat in amazing locations and not go to the strip. So I love that he's taking that emphasis and going off the strip, even as he recently opened a property at the Virgin, which is a strip.
And Todd is a little bit different than a celebrity chef because he's been a celebrity chef probably longer than any celebrity chef outside of Wolfgang Puck.
Mm-hmm.
And Wolfgang's probably the first, but he's like a weed that grows through concrete. There's a lot of celebrity chefs that get whack-a-mole in the head and they go away, or they just fail. Todd English seems to be a weed that just keeps growing in the concrete. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, he's got a ton of energy. He's so excited about this venture, and he's focused. He's very focused on it.
All right, so I do want to talk about the experiential stuff that you do, but I have to ask you a couple of follow-up questions in this partially modular thing and the whole idea of using pre-engineered load-bearing walls and all of that kind of stuff. I love this idea. So how does it all come together, and where do you see a yielding of savings actually happen? Because this is completely different than what we've talked about with modular before in general and on the show, where you just basically take a room and slide it in.
Yeah, this is really procuring all the materials. All the materials were procured in China through relationships that this owner architect has. Everything was kind of put together on site in load-bearing walls that were then stacked. It's all concrete, poured concrete floors. But then you've got the load-bearing walls that just get stacked, and then you put a concrete floor on the top of it, load-bearing wall. And all these walls are pre-developed, with the electrical, in them, with all the internet, everything running through them, all the conduit running through them. So it's not like you're, bringing all the trades in to have to do that stuff once the building is built. Her construction cost on this being the first one was probably a little bit higher than she's expecting on projects going forward.
Right.
But still, she's estimating that it was roughly 20% cheaper to develop this building than your standard, steel and or stick construction.
Right. That's one of those things. Once you have this concept developed, you'll yield higher savings through the efficiencies already gained through this first project.
That's right. And I think she's learned some things on this. Like, this building was built without enough storage. With not as much back of the house space as you need.
Wait! A hotel built with not enough storage or back of house space? Yeah. Kirk, what? What are you talking about?
I'll invite you in, Anthony. You'll see what I mean.
But isn't that a standard? Isn't that a standard? We're supposed to not build enough storage or back of the house space. Isn't that what we do every day in the hotel business?
Yeah, it is. But we're there are things that you learn right as you do your first one and your second and third one. I'm excited to see how she takes this forward, because honestly, if she wanted to sell this concept to a Marriott, a Hilton, I mean, you could use this type of construction for a Courtyard, a Hilton Garden Inn, a Hampton Inn, like any one of those, types of buildings that you're going to have an F&B component. You could even do it without the F&B component if you really wanted to.
Right.
But it's just very efficient.
Well, it looks like the way the hotel is designed there, Kirk, is it's a traditional select service type of structure with the dining just added on. So you can't.
Is this the Todd English Hotel? Is this the Todd English Hotel?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And where is it when you look at the Strip? How far from the Strip is it?
So it's in the Arts District, which really sits in between the Strip and downtown.
Okay.
Right. And everything is kind of growing together, right? That whole region between the Strip and downtown is coming together. And the city of Las Vegas has spent an unbelievable amount of money, Anthony, improving the Arts District, doing the streets, with new street lights and pavers. And it's really well done. And now you've got a bunch of restaurants moving in there, businesses moving in there, a ton of residential moving in there. So it's really cool.
Well, I'll tell you, if you look at just the sports team, the hockey team and the football team, I have never seen a town, and I follow sports since I'm a little boy, I've never seen a town make teams their own so quickly. You would think that the Las Vegas Raiders were there from the jump. I mean, just in a very short period of time, that community has completely accepted that team. Same thing with the hockey team. I mean, I've never been to, including New York, I've never been to a city that's so hopped up on hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great how they embrace the sports there.
They really do. They embrace who they are. They embrace their entertainment city, and I love that.
Yeah. I went to UNLV, and the Tarkanian ticket used to be the ticket in town, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, there's other tickets in town now, but it is amazing, how they embrace their teams, and they'll be extremely successful. They already are.
So speaking of creating success, one of the things that these teams do is really create an experience about it, something that you're trying to do in your day-to-day business. When you're thinking about a branded hotel that has the name of one of the original celebrity chefs that everybody can identify with, how do you think about creating an experience that really buffets the whole idea of food and beverage in a way we haven't thought about or seen before?
Yeah, so I think for me, the key is I said this to Todd the other day in a meeting, and I don't know if he loved it or hated it, but he laughed.
Well, he wasn't listening. He was getting
I said, Todd, I want everybody who leaves this hotel to have to shower Todd English off of themselves when they leave.
Right.
That to me is an immersive experience.
You're coming out with a personal scent as well, Kirk. Is that one?
Well, I'm sure you've been down at the food court, the Plaza Hotel, the English food court, right? Yep. I think when you say that, I think that is a perfect example, because when you go down there, before the food court, there was a lot of retail, and they were trying to do pastries and breads and art, and they were trying to do it. It didn't work. People weren't paying their rent on time, and it just felt just not connected. And then, like, all of a sudden, I blinked and I went down there, and they say, "Hey, there's a food court down there." And you literally have, when you come up, that's what you feel like. You have to get Todd English off of you.
Yeah. I mean, Todd's got so many great stories and recipes. I mean, an example, Glenn, is, in the guest rooms, instead of doing a turn down service, right, like your typical turn down service, there's a Todd English favorite cocktail that is in the room with a shaker, with real artisan, ice, not your typical crappy hotel ice, where the guests can make their own cocktail. There's a recipe card that has Todd English's mother's favorite recipes on the recipe card, right? There's, a song that gets played every night at 5 p.m. that encourages people to come down to the pool deck or the lobby and shake their own cocktail.
Dude, I love the recipe card thing. I mean, I want to stop you there for a second, because me, as someone who loves cooking for my family and doing all of that, to be able to take something home from that experience and then directly connect it to what I do at home, I think is a really great branding note that gets people to keep you top of mind as well.
Yeah. And are you concerned, because those off the Strip, and I understand there all the time, so I know that area. When you're off the Strip, you don't have a casino. People don't like spending money for hotel rooms. They like spending money. They like to go to the casino, the restaurants, but people typically get deals on hotel rooms. And as you know, off the Strip, the hotel room rates going down and down and down. Are you concerned that those rates won't be able to be strong enough? And do you think that these things that Todd has incorporated or you've incorporated with Todd's name is enough to get that average rate up.
I think it is, Anthony. You're right. The average rate of these off-strip hotels, the select serve type stuff, is $150.
On a good night.
Yeah, well, I think if you look at the average, star data at some of those hotels in 16, 17, 18, 19, it was $100 to $165.
Okay.
This is 74 rooms. We have the ability to do corporate buyouts. We're close to the convention center. We're in between downtown. We can hold a whole sports team at this hotel and do a complete buyout and have celebrity chef dinners with Todd English in the restaurant. There's
That's
things
amazing.
the things that you can do here that you don't do in a typical select serve hotel.
Right.
This will be a 21 and over only hotel. You look at what Circa is doing downtown. I don't know if you guys have been in the Circa yet.
I stayed at Circa. I'm a big fan of them knowing what they wanted to be and executing it in a fantastic way.
They're doing a great job, right? But if you look at how they price themselves versus all of the other stuff that's not on the strip, they don't care. They price themselves higher, and people pay it, Anthony, because they're looking for the experience. I mean, honestly, the difference between spending $150 and $189, is it really that big of a difference?
No.
So I think if you provide the experience, especially with 74 rooms, that's.
Right.
Well, I will say Circa on Wednesday night is charging $159 on Friday, $239 on Saturday, $309, and all next week like $149 to $199. So
well, I tell you, I found my hotel on the strip that you can't get me at with Dynamite. That's the hotel I stay at, and I love it. However, if I did not find that hotel, that's the kind of hotel, the hotel you're building is the kind of hotel I look for. I don't like these big hotels, like the big elevators and the big lobbies and walking, 2 miles to get to your room. So I love that. And I would absolutely pick a Todd English hotel off the strip. That's fun. And as long as I can get to the strip in 5-10 minutes, it's I look forward to it. When is it opening?
It's going to open in November.
Oh,
well,
wow.
Hopefully, this November?
Yep.
Oh,
We'll be in Vegas in November. Maybe we'll come down and do the podcast from there.
and we actually can.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. All right. So let's make sure we talk about that off there.
Yeah, we'll be soft opening in November. We'll probably launch this thing, to everybody beginning of the year next year.
Awesome.
But we'll definitely have something for you in November if you're there.
Yeah, cool. We're going to be the last week of November, early December as well. All right. So you've got other great properties. You got, like we talked about before, Jackson, Wyoming. You got out east here on Long Island. How do you keep all of these properties highly experiential so people know that they're getting an individual concept, but kind of glue it together with some sort of emotional consistency that people could get so they know what kind of product they're getting, if not the specific experience?
Yeah, it's not branded Sightline, right? So, so everything is, whether you're an independent hotel or a branded hotel, you're a branded hotel, right? If you're an independent hotel, you got to brand yourself.
Yep.
You just can't rely on one of the big boys to brand it for you. But every one of these properties has its own brand. It stands for something different, which in my mind, that's what the consumer wants when they go to any hotel.
Yeah.
So how we keep it consistent, it isn't consistent from one hotel to another. Our corporate team and strategy is very consistent in that we have a model that we follow in terms of how we go into each individual hotel and determine what is going to make it unique from the property next door and what things we're going to offer there. And then we are constantly evolving and changing that up over time. But it's the local team that is focused on that. They're getting advice and help from a corporate team that's pushing them to say, okay, we got to come up with something new. All right, we got to find a different way to, to sell ourselves. We got to come up with, like out in Long Island, just this last year, we've got a great ownership group there. They got us these wood burning cedar tubs outside of 2 guest rooms that look out on the sound.
Wow.
Well, I mean, if you can get somebody to come and put the wood down and heat the cedar tub up, and you and your significant other get out there and sit in the cedar tub, and you've got the smell of the wood, and you're looking at, that's a real experience, and you're probably willing to pay for that. We put in a new low tide bar, which, typically, I mean, out in that location, nobody else has that. Nobody else has the sand to do it, but we put a low tide bar in there. It wasn't anything expensive, but then we put great fire pits and really cool Adirondack chairs, great wool blankets for everybody to cuddle up in. That's the experience that people are looking for.
All right.
So, Glenn, maybe we should go and cuddle up, Glenn.
You should go cuddle up.
I don't know why we feel we need to go to a hotel as an excuse to do that, though, Anthony.
But we're working on a new project in Salt Lake City with a company by the name of Evo. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them. They're an online retailer primarily. They do have brick and mortar stores, but they're really known as the experts for lifestyle or outdoor, like extreme sports goods. And these guys do it better than anybody I've seen in their space. They're opening a hotel in Salt Lake City that's connected to a rock gym and a skate park.
Wow.
And they came to us and said, hey guys, will you work with us on the hospitality component, put all this together? They do something called Evo Trips, where they take groups of people who are, again, extremely passionate about these sports. They take them to Japan, right, to go snowboarding, right, in the best snow in the world together with like-minded people.
Right.
Having this location in Salt Lake City around all the national parks, around the mountains there, that's going to be unbelievable. Like a launch pad for all of these different extreme sports that are outdoors. And now they'll have a place to kind of start that experience and end that experience.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to Salt Lake City for a convention and you want to go somewhere where it's a little bit different and you can go to the rock gym, and figure out what that's all about. You can have a unique food and beverage experience, or you can bring your kids and put them in the skate park in a camp and learn how to skateboard. It's just different. So all of these projects that we're working on are so different from one another, but there's a constant theme that they have to represent what they are, not what somebody else is. They have to be unique on their own, and they have to continue to evolve and, create experiences for people.
Okay, you've convinced me. I should open my own management company, hotel management company.
It's fun, right?
You know what? It's fun, but it is a lot of fun. But listen, especially going through COVID and stuff, it's a lot of challenges between the bankers and the owners and the management and union. It's you have to really love. I've been doing it for 35 years, so I'm kind of like I like the consulting where we have our clients. I just wrote a contract and I must have used the word advise in the contract 37 times.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like not doing advising. And I've learned lessons that like I love my lifestyle. So advising is better for me. Yeah. When you're in the in the weeds, like you're really in it every day. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of stress. And I would imagine during COVID, it was probably the hardest part of your career.
It was very stressful, although, Anthony, a lot of those hotels, those drive-to locations, the stuff out in Greenport, they performed better last year than they did in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was a great year. And so, stuff in Calistoga, they had fires on and off, and that impacted them as probably more so than COVID did.
Right.
But those types of markets have done really, really well. It's the San Franciscos and the New York that it's been a real challenge, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, we're running, if we run 65% on a weekend in San Francisco now, we are jumping up and down. It will come back. It's taken a lot more time there.
Yeah, that's probably the hardest market out there right now. So New York's tough, but New York is coming back a lot faster than people anticipated for the quarter. I'm hearing my friends say November's looking good, December's looking good. I think Broadway is really, really helped. We've said on the show several times that New York's not back till Broadway back. But how are you finding? Because you have obviously a lot of managers, a lot of mid-level managers, vice presidents. How are you finding the talent pool? I mean, are you able to keep the people through the pandemic? Are you finding people wanting to come in the hospitality industry? Because we talk about this to noise on this show, that's the number one problem in our industry right now is finding talent.
And while you think about that answer, go check out hoteleffectiveness.com/2022. Why? Because they've got a great report that we helped co-brand to help you create labor perfection in 2022. All right.
Man, you guys are good. Between you and the producer, man, you guys are seamless.
Listen, the general managers, sales managers, revenue managers. I think those positions, Anthony, have been fairly consistent, especially at the corporate level. It's been extremely consistent. Yes, did we lose some people in the pandemic because we had to downsize? We did, unfortunately, but that core group we were able to keep together. I'll tell you where we're challenged right now is in food and beverage. Food and beverage is probably the toughest. Now, it depends on the market that you're in, right? So in the Las Vegas market, you can still find very good food and beverage help. If you've got a celebrity chef like Todd English, people follow him and want to work for him. And so, it's a lot easier to recruit in that environment. Some of these other environments, it's been a real challenge, and we've tried to skinny down the food and beverage operation just because we don't have employees. So it is still a challenge. I'm hoping that over time that's going to continue to get better, just as we get through this thing. But it's been a challenge. I tell you, on the hotel side, it hasn't been as much. Even on the housekeeping side, it hasn't been as much of a challenge. The food and beverage side of the business has probably been the worst.
Yeah, well, that rings true. So you try to skinny down. So what does that actually mean? Cutting down on the menu, not allowing as many people to come in and dine with you. How does that actually actuate?
Yeah, skinny down the menu, QR codes put everywhere so people can just order things on their phone, not have to have wait staff.
Oh, cool.
It's all of those things that you've seen in all these restaurants that you're going to, which I think will become permanent, right? And honestly, a lot of these things I prefer. Like if you're looking at the hotel behind you there, Glenn, even at a Todd English hotel, every one of those pool deck chairs will have a QR code next to it. Right. And you can get Todd English food at the pool.
That's cool.
But you're just going to have a runner that's in the restaurant instead of having, a ton of servers out on a pool deck, which you don't need all day long.
Could you do me a favor though? Could you do me a favor? Could you do something that very few people are doing? Can you train a food runner to do more than just deliver food? I think that these are the touch points we talk about.
Yeah,
we talk about all these touch points are going away. We're not checking at the hotel anymore. We're not getting waiters to wait on us. But that food server may be the only time I interact with anyone at that restaurant. These food runners literally throw the food at you. They look they don't look clean, and they look like they can give a shit less about me or anything that they're giving me. Like coming in and like delivering it like they are the waiter, I think is critical. And I think that I haven't seen a good food runner, period.
One of the challenges there, Anthony, is the food runners typically don't get tipped out. How do you, right? So finding a way to bring that food runner into that tip pool or create a way for them to be incentivized. Listen, money talks, right, Anthony? And you can find people that have a great attitude, but if they can use that great attitude to make more money, they'll find a way to make more money.
You know what? If I saw a 5% service charge on a check that went to the food runner, I'd be happy to pay that 5%. But then that's what we need to do. Then because that's the problem. As we're going into technology, we're seeing people crawl up. We're seeing the people who are cleaning the hallways crawl up. We're seeing the food runners crawl up. Everybody is going into their friggin' corner, and we got to keep the service in the service industry.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So, Anthony, do you have something else that you want to say? You look.
Yeah, I just want to say how good you look today, Glenn.
Thanks. Well, I've got that pre-vacation glow on me. Did you see on
what does Colleen have to say?
Did you see on the TV the restaurants are delivering food to the table by a remote control truck? And yes, I saw that at a CNBC report that I watched on YouTube. No, wait, it wasn't on YouTube. David Chang's got a new show on Hulu, and they were showing this delivery technology that takes all the people out, and it's just kind of a little thing that goes down the street that delivers your food.
Yeah, I saw that in Santa Monica, probably 6 months ago. I don't know if they're still doing it or not.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I thought they were using that more for like, a Grubhub service or something like that.
I think so. I mean, ideally, that's where those companies are going to be going, right? Creating their own food and beverage concepts and selling them to you through robots. That's kind of my guess.
Yeah.
So, go on. If you had
I
something
was
to say.
just gonna say, all coming out of the same kitchen too, Glenn.
Yes, exactly. We've got to put
Right,
together.
the ghost kitchens will rule that.
Absolutely. We
Well,
got to put,
when you drive around Manhattan or really the States and you see the food service trucks that we all know, we won't mention the names of the two major brands. It feels like to me, any restaurant you go to, we're all getting the same tomato, the same steak, the same fish, the same everything from these two purveyors, you know? So what's the difference if we get everything out of one kitchen? It's almost like we're getting everything. And I also think that um, I'm just not seeing, again, this is very general,
Mhm.
but I'm just not seeing the level of food step up the way it did 10 years ago. I'm starting to see a lot of sameness. I'm starting to see a lot of things that are really focused on the expense and on the menu cost, as opposed to, and again, I don't want to be wowed. I just want to say, wow every time I take a bite of food. I don't want to be wow with presentation. And I think that, I think that that's where it's going. I think that's where everything's
Yeah.
going. And because cost is involved, and we all know food cost and beverage cost and payroll, the things that bankrupt businesses.
Yeah,
So
I think
I think we're getting away from that.
the old adage: you got to spend money to make money. You got to create the experience to make more money. I think, Anthony, you're right. People are willing to pay for it if you give them the product.
Yep.
I think that's the direction we're headed here in Vegas. I mean, the menu is going to be Asian inspired with a Mediterranean twist. It's something that Todd has been dreaming about for a long time. It's something unique. And so we're going to do it, and it's going to be fun. There's going to be live entertainment every night.
Awesome.
It will turn into a lounge after the restaurant for late night. So it will be a full experience, and yeah, you're right. I think people are willing to pay for that.
Yeah, I think when people open hotels or restaurants with milk money, as I call it, like not enough money, they have a
Yeah.
problem. Somebody said to me, I have a friend coming out to Vegas, and they said, where should we stay? And I said, my favorite hotel, the Nomad. But I also said, they said, how about the Wynn, man? That's like 12, 15 years old. That must be a crap hole. I said, when you build something where everybody says that you're spending triple the money you should be spending, and you have people that know what they're doing to operate it, that thing lasts for 100 years. And that's exactly what the Wynn did. And the Wynn looks more beautiful now than the day it opened. And so if
Yeah.
you do things right the first time and you spend the money, you can afford to spend money up front, people will pay for it. But it's when you kind of look like you're spending money, but you're trying to cheap out, is when people close your restaurant for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing with theme parks. They built Disney's California Adventure on the cheap for $600 million, and then 5-6 years later, they had to put in $1.1 billion to even make it a viable concept. So you have to do things the right
people,
way.
you can't fake out your consumer. I have a restaurant that opened up in my neighborhood, and in the bad part, like all the way down in the bad part, and they're sold out every night because they went in. And when I saw it for the first time, I was like, they spent real money. I mean, real money for this little restaurant. And you feel it. And it's translating into a successful restaurant now. So when you go in with what you're doing at the English Hotel and your other properties with real knowledge of your customer base, real information, that's when you have a fighting chance. Because even with all that information, it's a fighting chance.
Right.
Yeah, we're doing another one up in in your market, guys, in Washington Heights. We're little Dominican Republic. We're opening a 220 room hotel called the Radio Hotel, and we're partnering with Richard Sandoval
Oh,
to
interesting.
do all of the food and beverage with his Mexican inspired background. It's going to be really neat. We're hoping to have a lot of fun up there.
That's a great location. Who's the owner there?
It's an individual, so high net worth group. It's not a fund.
Somebody out of New York?
Yep.
Oh, I'd like to know after the show who that is, because I probably know him.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Before we start going to wrap up mode, Kirk, what do you think the prognosis is for New Orleans long term? You've got some properties down there. So it's rough. They keep getting beaten up by COVID, hurricanes, other natural disasters, whatever it might be. Still, my favorite American city. What's your thoughts on it?
Glenn, I say this about a lot of locations, right? The U.S. has so many of them, but when you talk about New Orleans, there literally is only one.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one.
Yep.
So, will it continue to bounce back? My belief, I'm always a glass half full or glass, half full type kind of guy anyway. But I totally believe New Orleans will come back, and I think it'll always come back stronger than it was before. I love New Orleans, and yeah, there's only one, so people will continue to visit New Orleans. It has been pretty rough for them.
Beautiful. Anthony, what are we looking at over there?
You didn't see the angel?
No. Show us again.
Oh my God, no, it's too bad. As you said, there's only one. All of a sudden, an angel walked right past me. I was like,
That's
there's
really
only
funny.
one New York, man. You
I'm
didn't see it? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was showing to you.
No, that's fine. But when you said an angel walked past you, I'm like, I'm right here. I'm not there. I didn't. Very confusing.
But yeah, listen, like you said, these people write off New York, people write off San Francisco, people write off New Orleans. It's you can't write off these cities because they only won, and so they just need to rest sometimes. They just need to take a breath, and they just need to kind of air out a little bit, so to speak.
Yeah.
And they'll be back. And listen, there's going to be ebbs and flows forever. There's never going to be a time where where they say the only thing that you count on is you can't count on anything.
I'm not sure ebbs and flows is the best way to describe it.
Isn't that
I apologize.
Isn't that part of the character, though, guys? Right? It's the grit and the determination of the people and the will of those individual cities that make them what they are. Right? That's why New Orleans is New Orleans. Right?
Right.
They keep fighting. They keep coming back.
It's the guy or the girl, the woman you go up to on the front porch. And they've been in the house for 40 years, and they're like, "Hey, are you moving?" And they look at you like you have three heads. And you're like, "I have heaven. Why would I move? This is the greatest place I've ever lived." And those are the people that keep those communities alive. And I've been down there shooting shows down there, and those people are as rough and tough as any New Yorker I've ever met.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Kirk.
Yeah.
Today's final question is, of course, brought to you by Dr. Producer Suzanne, and she wants to know, what is your recommendation for tapping into and harnessing creative ideas to deliver unique, fun, engaging experience at your properties?
So my advice for other operators or other owners is that where she's going?
I think in general.
Yeah, I think it's being genuine, right? Just be what you are. Don't try to be what you are, but be really good at what you are. Right. And I remember somebody said to me years ago, you look at these great Fortune 500 companies that have been extremely successful, and they do what they do better than anybody else. Mm-hmm. Once they jump the shark and go and try and do what somebody else is doing, or, create another widget, they're not nearly as successful. So figure out what you are. Every property has a positioning, right, in an individual market, right? Figure out what that positioning is and own that position, and then go fight for your share of that position. Beautiful. Right? That's my advice.
Yeah, and allowing wherever these creative thoughts come from, allowing them to get up to the C-suite, making sure, whether it be from a housekeeper or a front person, to make sure that everyone is at the table in one way or another. I was just listening to a podcast with a UFC female champion, and somebody asked her, so do you run? Do you do this? Do you do that? And do you do supplements? Do you do that? She says, what I do is I practice my art. I'm a martial artist. So any time that I am not practicing my art is time away from my art. So we'll have a conditioning. How about? And she said, well, have you ever seen me in a 5-round fight when I'm gassed? No. I practice martial arts for martial arts. If I go and run 20 miles or 10 miles in the morning, I'm taking an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours away from what I can be doing. And then when I go to the gym, I'm not as sharp. And I thought that was fascinating when it comes to business. When you're working on, hey, let's create this and let's create that, just do what you do really, 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 really well. And you can look at a lot of companies that have been around forever, and they just do one thing and they do it well. And they just, and when it doesn't have to be mundane, it doesn't have to be boring. It could be fun and it could be creative, but just do what you do and do it well. That's why I won't go in and open up a Anthony Melchiori management company, for that reason. I don't want to. So if I go in there and look for it for money and, hey, I can slap my name on hotels or whatever, I don't want to. What I want to do is I want to make my day, and I want to run my company my way. And if I try to do what you do, I will not be successful at it. And I think people got to do what you, like you said, just focus on what you do. As Bill Belichick says, just do your job.
Yeah, so many, I mean, especially in the hotel space, so many people look to other hotels and say, "Oh, they're doing this. Why aren't we doing that?" Owners will say that a lot to management.
Every day.
Why aren't you doing what they're doing? Well, if you're doing what they're doing, then how are you different? Right. I feel like the consumer, we call it the book now war. You know, that button on every single website, the book now button. Well, you got to figure out how to win that war. How do I get the consumer to hit the book now button at our hotel? It may be price, it may be programming, it may be perception, whatever it is, you got to figure out what your niche is and why that specific consumer is going to be attracted to your property and get them to hit that button.
Yeah, and the biggest problem is when they do hit the button and all your cost and all your energy goes to the first time a consumer hits that book now button. It's a lot easier for them to hit the book now button the second time when you have the runner delivering the food on time and properly, right? And so many people focus on that first-time customer, but they don't realize that first-time customer is the most important customer because they're going to tell all their friends. I mean, listen, you're hearing it now. Here's my angel. Hold on, my angel's here.
Oh,
Now do you see?
There's only one. There's only one.
My angel came back.
That's
but
amazing.
Anyway, it was a pleasure to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing your hotel in Vegas as we do our podcast from there.
Kirk, how do we find you guys over at Sightline?
Sightline Hospitality or sightlinehospitality.com. It's very easy. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Great seeing you guys.
We'll see you soon. Take care.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
It's a great name for a management company too. Sightline, great name.
Right? Yep. That was really good. I'm very happy with that. What a short week. All right, guys, we'll have some best of episodes coming at you for the next 3 days. And next Monday, we'll be back live with No Vacancy, Tuesday, November 2nd. So we will see you then.
We're going with pre-recorded shows, though, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Pre-recorded and previously run, probably, because I don't think we have any stuff in there. Let's Producer Dave will let us know what's going on with that one. But we did not get as many pre-recorded as we had hoped in the cast.
So let people know why that you've abandoned us and our audience. For what frivolous activity will you be partaking in?
I am going to partake in my 340-something-ish day late 50th birthday getaway. So I'm going to be doing that. Going to be going
then
to
it's
see
not frivolous.
in Grand Arena 4 nights. If you guys are going to be there, come text me, call me. We're going to hang out. We're doing Friday night audit, Friday 2:00 from the casino floor until we get hit by security. Then we'll probably be coming at you from downtown to the precinct.
So what number Fish concert is the first one you're going to? How many have you been to? Is this in the hundreds yet?
I did it well into the hundreds. I'm probably at 150 plus, maybe 175. I don't know. I kind of lost track.
Don't they have a medicine or something you can put on your skin to get rid of that problem?
No, they do not. In fact, everything I take makes me want to go more and more.
100. I love Billy Joel. Listen, I love Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley. If they came back and did a trio, I don't think I would go more than 5.
Billy Joel does the same show every single night. I'm going to go see 4 shows. They will not only will they not repeat one song in the entire 4 nights over 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 sets of music, which is about 11 to 12, 13 hours or so of music in there. They won't repeat one song. And each of the songs, though they have scripted, composed parts, then they do a lot of improv and it's all new and it's in the moment. So every single show is uniquely its own and uniquely different. Plus the way that the songs are sometimes organized. Plus they're doing fun things. They played The Doors' LA Woman last night, for example, because they were out there in California. So they're always keeping it fun. They're always keeping it fresh. Plus
that's great that you know. It's great that you know that they played that song. It's great that you know that.
And plus, dude, the Halloween show, they do a special Halloween set. And traditionally back in the day, they would play other people's albums. So you'd hear the Beatles' White Album or Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, or you'd hear a great, a great album from Talking Heads. They've also turned like a 1960s style Disney Halloween sound effects album into a whole show. They made up in the last one I went to go see in 2018. They made up that they found an album from a 1980s Scandinavian rock group and wrote an entire album of songs in that style from the 1980s.
You know what? You've convinced me that when they're in New York or when we're in Vegas together, I will go see a Fish concert.
All right, we'll say that would be great. I'm taking Craig Sullivan on the 30th, so that should be fun. So we'll see.
Well, I was looking him up last night for some reason when I was on my schedule this week and realized I didn't have any the 12 o'clock. I was like, oh, that's good. I can fill that in. And I was like, oh, why do we have? Oh, okay, he's going to see the Fish. So I just started going down a Google wormhole. And man, these guys have made money, huh?
Oh, yeah, dude. They played Madison Square Garden more times than anyone as a band except Billy Joel. I think they're in the high 50s. Billy Joel is 64, 65 or something like that.
So why have they not become mainstream? You can even ask people who love music, they don't know who Fish is. Why?
Right. Because number one, it's a genre that most people don't like. It's not pop. They don't, the Big Machine doesn't get behind them. When they first came up, they didn't sell a lot of albums. It's all about the live
1984. But they came up in the middle of rock and roll. 1984 was huge for rock
but that's when they were in college. They didn't really have any real success until the late 80s, early 90s, when they started doing shows in the area and really connecting with their audience. They also came around at the right time for the birth of the internet. So a lot of people were able to connect that way. So they were able to just kind of create a community and an audience around the big system. And then they were able to break into the mainstream. And songs that they have in the mainstream, that one music video and stuff, people just don't care. It's just not palatable for general audiences.
And now if you gave them $100 million and said, we want you to be in the mainstream, they were like, no, we're good. Yeah, that's what I love. That's what I love. I love the fact that somebody built something that didn't exist, that no one's looking at. And they're like, yeah, I'll be over here making my hundreds of millions. If you need me, don't call me.
Anthony, also, they created the Modern Day Music Festival. I went to go see them in 1997 at a thing called the Clifford Ball. And what it was is they had tens and tens of thousands of people in their own place on an abandoned Air Force base. And that team that created that event with the help of Fish went on to go create all of these other major music festivals that we see out there. So they're very influential in that sort of world. Their lighting design has completely changed the way concerts are done. Their lighting designer, Chris Kuroda, who's considered like fifth member of the band because his light shows kind of jam along with them. He was brought in when they did the Madison Square Garden refurb to create a whole lighting system for them to really up it. They've helped create the technology behind some of the lights by pushing people forward and creating their own light rigs and stuff like that. So they're a lot more engaged in that kind of universe than people even realize.
And isn't it cool that we have somebody that has all of these fish facts and knowledge that we can tap into?
I know, we're very fortunate.
So is the fish tattoo on your butt?
No, it's on another part of my anatomy, but we don't want to discuss that. No, I'm just kidding. I do not have any tattoos. I was raised in a pre-tattoo era, so I don't have any of those, but I would get a henna tattoo. You know,
okay, you should do that. I would imagine if you had one tattoo and they said your children, your wife, or fish, I know what's going on. I know what's going on in your body. It's a fish tattoo.
That's too funny. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. And as Fish says, you got one life, so blaze on. And Anthony,
be kind to yourself.
And go check that stuff too. See y'all next week. Thanks very much. I'm already on vacation.